Y'all, welcome back to Intrusive Thoughts. I appreciate y'all listening and I hope that y'all are all caught up. So, boom. Okay, I'm about to start talking about my experiences. Every good every good story start off with a boom. Like, all right, boom, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm serious. Let me be for real. Um like I was saying, I think I want to just talk about my experiences a little bit because that's really what shaped why I think the way I do and possibly my upbringing, I guess. Um, and let's be clear, I'm not trying to put everything on anyone or make this about blaming people. This podcast and these voice memos are for me and me noticing my patterns, my flaws, and how I react when I care about someone or, any situation. Um, I am recording this in 2025. So anything that I talk about, is previously situations. I don't know when I'm going to drop this or whatever, but I am talking from experiences up until 2025. Let's be clear there. Okay. Now, I can say that I have always been self-aware. I've always been mature. I've always been able to read the room. I've always been able to pick up on energy. What I haven't been good at is leaving things where I need to leave them at and accept them for what they are. Um, I can't say, like, maybe at a young age I really started like overthinking once I started like dating and talking to men, and I've always liked older men, and I don't know if that was a gift or a curse because yeah, that's for another episode. But I remember this one situation. I was conversing with this guy. There was a situation that like a disagreement we had, and I found myself like really overthinking the whole situation, his actions, the whole nine, and we all know everything always start off good. The honeymoon, the consistent communication, the attention, the effort, and then it slowly started to die down, and we still was around each other. It's just the energy would be off sometimes. And me, I'm the type of person is that I'll try to find space to speak up without making things feel uncomfortable. But again, sometimes my thoughts be like, why the fuck do I even gotta do that? Like, we all grown. But again, those are my thoughts. They be all over the place sometimes. Um and I feel like instead of me directly asking for clarity and direction at that moment, I started to just analyze everything, and I started to feel my anxiety building up, and I started to blame myself for even speaking up and expressing myself, and I was just I was just anxious. I do remember that feeling. I was just anxious a lot, waiting, wondering, trying not to seem like I care too much, but also caring too much at the same time. Like, the emotions were all over the place, y'all, okay? And I think that's where I started losing myself a little bit because I wasn't just experiencing the situation. Like, I was living in my head about the situation. Like, it was overcoming me. And looking back, I realized I wasn't just reacting to that person. I was reacting to my own fear and being misunderstood or ignored or not chosen. Nobody likes rejection. And that's something that I'm still working through. Like I said, I'm not perfect at all. I'm not perfect at all. I'm trying to find my way. I have good characteristics as an individual, but I'm not perfect, you know. So that experience around my 20s really, really was like a blessing and a curse. It was a curse because I kind of lost myself without really understanding how to effectively communicate. I think that's where any intrusive thoughts, insecurity, or any feeling come from is you don't have that comfortability or that safe space to communicate. And right now, I'm in a space where I know what I want, but I'm living in an environment in a damn stimulation where I meet people, men and women, who are just so unsure about what they want to do with their lives. And I understand there's no book to this. We all figuring things out. But my intrusive thoughts kick in. And I just be trying to figure out at what point, at what time, will people start taking accountability, taking control of their life, and living in their truth. And when I say living in your truth, I'm specifically talking about knowing your purpose, figuring out how you impact other people's lives in a positive way, being honest with yourself and your feelings. And I feel like that's one thing I've also struggled with too is I've always lived in my truth to the point I be so vulnerable that it makes me look crazy. But I don't try to fit into the standard of what a woman is supposed to be. I don't want to be hard body. I've never grew up hard like that. Like I'm a soft woman, living in my truth. Even me starting this is living in my truth. I know I'm an emotional, sensitive, caring, loving individual, and a lot of people not going to be receptive to that. So that's me living in my truth that no matter who you come by, elbows you touch, everybody, you're not going to be everybody cup of tea, but you got to make sure that you continuously point into yourself, Brittany, and making sure you good, making sure that you understand you, and not letting the best get you, because like I've expressed, I overthink everything, you know. When you a person that has to show up strong, and not so much vulnerable, it becomes easier to hide behind certain emotions and hide behind certain things, for whatever reason. But we just warming up. I'm just warming up. I'm just sitting here in my bed just talking through my voice memo, and I just hope that what I've just said, somebody has experienced it. I hate feeling like I'm crazy. And who knows, maybe the goal isn't to stop having intrusive thoughts. Maybe it's just learning how to not let them control me.